He likes them to run fire.
Right. And the Frierdiker B'Yana Rebbe, it seems, was born to a simple couple. And Gedolim were very nispal how the parents had a son who was such a Kaddish Mirechem, such a Tzaddik Yisai Olam, someone who was a Shalem in Torah and Avodah, and they really they sent a delegation to the house of the mother to ask, please, tell us, what did you do so special that you have a son who's the best kid in the whole yeshiva, the best kid in the whole cheder? What's the magic formula?
Secret recipe.
What's the secret recipe? She says, I really don't know. And they said, please, tell us something you did very special. For Hashem to give you such a special son, you must have done something very big. She says, I don't know. But she says, there's one thing that maybe stands out in my mind. Friday night, my husband would sing Zemiris. In the middle of one of the Zemiris, he used to get carried away. And he used to say, V'yizku l'erais badim ubnei badim ha'iskim b'Torah u'b'mitzvahs. He would say at tefillah that Hashem bless us with children and grandchildren busy in Torah. And sometimes he used to get so fired into it that sometimes he would go over to the wall and he would like put his head against the wall. And one time I remember he banged his head on the wall and he got unconscious. So they said that could be the tefillah. That he wanted so much to have good children, made a ashpa. Now, I was reading it on Shabbos, a book. It said a very cute story. I want to end the thought with this. When the yeshiva of Chachmei Lublin opened, so it was a great historical event. Thousands of people coming to see this magnificent yeshiva of Reb Meir Shapiro opening its doors, laying the foundation, the groundbreaking. And at the event came a man named Reb Shmuel Eichenstein, I think his name was. And he was the man who donated the land that the yeshiva would be built on top of. So it seems that Chorka Rava Rebbe came over to him and he says, Rebbe, Shmuel, I'm not jealous, I'm not envious of you today, the coverage everyone's giving you for donating the land. Because this is, maybe it's going to give you gaiva, you think you're so great. And it's a mitzvah you did in public. You know what I'm jealous of? The mitzvah you did secretly and privately that no one knows about. That in that zechus, Hashem gave you this zechus. That you should be the one to build the yeshiva. So you never know which zechus is the one that's going to stand for you. Kindlach, are you enjoying your snacks?
Yes.
Did everyone make a bracha?
Yes. I don't know,
Okay.
last week's ice cream. Last week's ice cream was the best.
I'd like to tell you a story about Tzedakka. I read this story in Rabbi Binyamin Pruzansky's book.
Oh, Rabbi Pruzansky was my bungalow.
It's called Stories to Light Up the Heart. There was once a poor guy who used to hang around different stores, fronts, and buildings with a little pan collecting quarters and pennies and dollars. And we call him in English a pauper. A pauper is someone who doesn't have a job, doesn't have much income to live. Maybe he gets a welfare check from the government. But anyway, this guy, his name was George. And one day George was actually out in front of a shul, and someone said to him, hey, are you Jewish?
No.
And he said, yeah. So the Rav, ever since he heard that he was a Yid, he had Rachmanis on him. And he would buy him sometimes an extra pair of shoes if his shoes were torn. Maybe he would buy him a sweater for the winter, maybe a new pair of pants. But the Rav was always wondering, how come 2 weeks after I bought him the shoes, he's not wearing them anymore? He puts on his old ones. Or let's say he buys him a coat, he wears it 2 weeks, and then he doesn't wear it anymore. He wears his old coat. So the Rav didn't know. And this was going on for a while. The Rav would sometimes even take him out to a restaurant to buy him lunch, or maybe dinner, and give him a sandwich. And one time, the Rav realized that this is very unusual. When I take him to the restaurant, He eats half the plate as if he never saw food before. He gobbles it down ravishly, and then the other half he wraps up, and he doesn't eat. So the Rav figured maybe he's saving it for later. It turns out that year, the Rav was getting him something, and the Rav said to him, "Do you have any family that's still alive?" And he said, "Yeah, my mother in St. Louis. I haven't seen her for 7 years. She's still alive." So the Rav said, "Can I get you a bus ticket? You should go travel to visit your mother. You haven't seen her for 7 years." And George said, "Rabbi, I thank you for wanting to get me a ticket, but I really can't go." The Rav said, "Why? Do you have any responsibilities here?" It wasn't like he had a job. And then, you know what he told the Rav? He said, "Rabbi, if you think I'm bad off, I'm not. I have friends like you. Give me things. But my friend Frank, he's really poor. He's really bad off. As a matter of fact, my friend Frank, he lives in a cardboard box under the bridge, and I give him half my food always. And did you ever wonder why I don't keep the shoes and stuff that you give me? It's because I give it to him." So when the Rav heard that, he was so touched that he gives away half his food, even his shoes, for someone else. It turns out that year he died, George. And the next year, the rabbi said this at the funeral. He said, "Look at this. He gives away for others his sandwich or his sweater for a poor man." And that year, after he passed away, he came to the Rav in a dream. And he said to the Rav, he said, "How come you didn't say Kaddish for me on my yard site? How come you didn't serve kichel?" Raise your hand if you know what kichel is. So those little mezainis. How come you didn't serve kichel on my yard site? So people should say a bracha, and there'll be a schus for me. They make a bracha for my neshama, and everyone says amen. And the Rav woke up, and he said, "Wow, I knew he was a special man, but person only gets to come from the other world to this world to talk to people if he's a big neshama. The fact that he was able to come back to me and tell me that his neshama needed a kaddish, his neshama needed a bracha, he must have been special." And then the Rav said, "Of course he's special. He gave away his shoes for a poor man." Raise your hand if you would give away your shoes for a poor man. I don't think so, not me. He gave his sweater, his coat, his new shirt. He gave it away for a poor man. No wonder he was able to come to the Rav back from the other world. So let's learn from this to try to be more caring and give tzedakka. You see a poor person, give him a sandwich, give him a chizuk, and Hashem should give everybody the sense to always make brachas out loud b'kavana. There's an amazing story about Shabbos or about tzedakka, either one, that I want to share with you today. There was someone in Eretz Yisrael who had a store, and it's like a grocery store. And one day, he gets a note, and the note says, "Bivakasha, please, ten lanu mamtakim lechvod Shabbat." Obviously, a poor mother wrote a note to the storekeeper that if you could give some candy to my children for Shabbos, we'd really greatly appreciate it. Obviously, she didn't have money, an extra couple dollars even, to buy candy for Shabbos. And we know, it says in Yeshaya Navi, it says in Sefer Yeshaya, the karasa l'Shabbos oineg, Shabbos should be enjoyable. And Kol Moedim, everyone holds that by Shabbos you're allowed to have lachem. You're supposed to enjoy the day. That's why we make delicious cholent, delicacies. Everyone looks forward to a good Shabbos. Everyone loves a nice dessert special for Shabbos. So the storekeeper got the note, and he put together a bag of nash, And he put it in the bag and gave it to the child who handed him the note. And the kid ran gleefully home, happily, joyfully showing the mother, look, he actually gave us the nash. And the guy went on with his business. He saw from far which building the kid went into, and he chapped which family it was. He was happy to do tzedakka. What's the big deal? Don't forget, he gets the candy wholesale. It doesn't cost him so much to give away. And as he carries on his business, he starts closing the shop. He gets in his car and he starts driving home. And it's close to Shabbos. And all of a sudden, he was struck by a truck that smashed right where he was in the car. And technically, he could have broke bones or even worse. And miraculously, he realized that he wasn't hurt. And he jumped out of the car on the other side because his door now couldn't open anymore. It was all smashed up. And he jumps out, he looks, his car smashed, and then he realized it was a nace snigla, and probably it was because of the tzedakka that he was careful to give. Because we know tzedakka tatzah mimaves, and when a person gives charity, he's spared from dying. And then he realized that the Rebbeinu Shalom Mamish made a nace for him because he just gave charity, he just gave candy. I know when you think of tzedakka, you don't think of candy, but sometimes tzedakka can be candy too. I know a family that sponsors every week over $100 just of nash and prizes to give some poor children who don't really have much money at home to buy their own nash and prizes.
What's a nash?
And it's a tzedakka.
It's like a twofold. It's for Shabbos and it's for tzedakka.
Tzedakka doesn't only mean giving someone bread. It could mean giving.
If I get stuck every day, I'm not going to die.
Well, put it this way, it's definitely a segula to live longer. It could be 10 minutes longer, 10 weeks longer, 10 years longer, but it's definitely a segula. They say there was one gadol, the Manchester tzaddik, Rabbi Segel, they say before he used to go to sleep at night, he would take some tzedakah, put some coins, and he would say it's tefillah, Rabbi Shalom, please make sure I wake up tomorrow morning. Now we take it for granted. It's not something to take for granted. I'm about to go to someone's house next Thursday to speak in memory of a boy, a bacher, full of life, who just didn't wake up in the morning. He was full of life. There's nothing wrong with him. Listen, not everyone knows how long they're going to be around.
He filled his tafkid in a short time.
Fulfilled his tafkid in a short time. But what I'm trying to say is like this.
You lucky?
The storekeeper felt so fortunate that he wasn't killed that he went and he took some money. I mean, not money. He took some cases of food and he started throwing much more food into boxes. He left the scene of the car accident. I guess the tow truck pulled away his car, or maybe just pulled on the side of the road, whatever was left of the car. He ran back to his store. He filled up about 10 boxes of food, all over the store. And he told his worker, go drop it off by that house, that poor family. So when the lady opened the door, she said, no, I didn't mean so much. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, maybe he thought I meant send me 10 boxes of food. I didn't mean so much. I meant just some things I give the kids for Shabbos.
No, he said.
He says, ma'am, you don't know, you probably saved my life. So please take this as a present. An amazing true story about tzedakah. And that's why there's many organizations that they do something called Time Chei Shabbos. They collect money during the week from people. They
Class wet and they pack packages.
And then they drop off packages by people. Tremendous mitzvah.
Can we do it tomorrow? Can we do it tomorrow?
I collect them for
Now there is a Gemara that says it's better not to bother people to have to ask them for money, because Hashem doesn't want us to really be a tircha for people. Yes, He wants aniyim if they really need it to ask for help, but it's preferable not to really have to come on to